Hi, Miss Scott here. I'm going to show you 10 different techniques using watercolours. Okay, so this first technique is called wet on wet. So first you just need to wet the paper with water, and then you can add the colour, the watercolours on top. Because the paper is already wet, it makes the paint disperse more. Okay, so this technique is called wet on dry. So unlike the other technique, you do not wet the paper first, you leave the paper dry and then you just paint the watercolours on top. You can see how the watercolours are not dispersing the same like they did in the first technique. This is a gradient technique using watercolour, and first you wet the paper and then apply the paint over the top. If you start at the top with the paint and then carry on making the nice thick brush strokes going down, you'll then create a nice gradient from a darker tone to a lighter tone. This is one of my favourite techniques, and all you do is apply the paint. It's up to you however you like to apply the watercolour paint, and then sprinkle salt on top. And it makes a really nice effect. It looks like ice, and I think it would look really good for coral if you were to do some kind of sea life painting. Okay, this is very similar to the gradient technique, but this time I'm using two colours. So I'm using purple at the top and then yellow underneath, and then just blending them together in the middle. So in this technique, I'm just applying some paint and then splashing another colour on top, and then I'm also just going to splash or drop a few little bits of water on there, and it just all spreads out onto the paper and kind of blends together, and that's a really nice technique as well. Really simple but quite effective. If you are after applying some texture to your paper, this is really nice. So apply the watercolour however you like again, and then whilst it's still a little bit wet, it's a bit damp, you then get a craft knife and just scratch into the paper, and that makes a really nice texture. It would look really good if you use that for trees. That look really good. You can see here how I'm just scratching into it quite gently, because you obviously don't want to go through the paper. And then you can also apply another colour on top of that. You could do this a few times if you like. You could scratch into it, then apply another colour, maybe let that dry a little bit, and then scratch into it again and apply another colour, and you could keep building up these colours and these textures, which would look really nice. I love this one. It's cling film, so just apply your watercolour and then add cling film on, and just manipulate the cling film on top, so you get lots and lots of little creases in the cling film. Then let the watercolour dry. Because you put cling film on top, it's holding in all that moisture, so it will take a little bit longer to dry than usual. But that creates a really, really nice textured effect. Oh, it's just lovely, really, really nice. So all you need for this effect is a paper towel or a tissue, and all you're doing is applying the watercolour, and then whilst it's still wet, just blotting the watercolour and soaking up some of that watercolour and taking it off the page again. It makes a really nice effect for clouds. It's quite good for that. So this is a really fun technique. All you need to do is just splash some colours, any colours that you like, onto your paper, and then get a straw and blow through your straw onto the droplets of watercolour, and that disperses the watercolours out onto your page, and it's quite a fun technique, and it does create a really nice effect. So there you have the 10 different watercolour techniques I've shown you there. I'm just taking off the masking tape and the cling film as the watercolour is dry on that one, and I've brushed off the salt as well.